There is a sound the human body makes when it hasn't heard another voice in 3 days. Scientists call it vocal degradation. You call it nothing, because most people never reach day 3. But some have. And what they described wasn't silence. It was something worse. Here's what's strange. You were never supposed to be alone. Not for an hour. Not even for a night. For 300,000 years, a human being who lost their group didn't survive the week. So what happens now, when billions of us are living exactly that way? And what if your body already knows something your mind has been trying to deny? In 2019, researchers at Brigham Young University compiled data from over 3.4 million people across 148 studies. They were trying to answer one question: what kills humans fastest? It wasn't heart disease. It wasn't cancer. It wasn't even smoking. It was loneliness. Chronic loneliness, they found, increases the risk of early death by 26%. More than obesity. More than physical inactivity. But here's the contradiction that should stop you cold. We are the most connected generation in human history. More devices. More platforms. More ways to reach each other than any civilization that ever existed. And we are the loneliest. So either the science is wrong, or something happened to us. Something deep. Something that began long before smartphones were invented. But that's only half the story. Your brain has a department dedicated entirely to other people. It's called the default mode network. And neuroscientists discovered something about it that changes everything. When you are doing nothing, when you are resting, drifting, staring at a wall, your brain doesn't go quiet. It goes social. It starts replaying conversations, imagining future ones, rehearsing what you should have said. Your brain's default state is other people. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar spent years studying primate brains. He found that the larger a species' neocortex, the part of the brain handling complex thought, the larger their social group. Not their habitat, not their diet, their group. For humans, that number is around 150, roughly the size of a village, the size of a tribe. We didn't evolve to think in order to solve puzzles. We evolved to think in order to navigate each other. Language didn't develop so we could describe the world. It developed so we could gossip, so we could warn, so we could bond while our hands were busy with other things. You weren't built for solitude. You were built for a village of 150 people who knew your name, your history, your face. Now ask yourself, how many people truly know yours? In the 1980s, psychologist John Cacioppo began studying what loneliness actually does inside a human body. What he found was disturbing. The lonely brain doesn't just feel sad. It changes. It rewires. Lonely people showed heightened activity in the brain's threat detection regions. Their nervous systems shifted into a permanent state of low-level alarm, as if the world itself had become dangerous. Because, evolutionarily, it had. A human without a tribe was a human about to die. But this created a much darker problem. That same threat response made lonely people worse at reading social situations. More suspicious, more withdrawn, more likely to interpret neutral expressions as hostile. Loneliness, Cacioppo found, is self-reinforcing. It doesn't just result from isolation, it causes more of it. It is, in his own words, a trap with no visible door. And this is where things become unsettling. Because the people most trapped by loneliness aren't recluses. They're not in empty houses on empty streets. They're at parties. They're in offices. They're in relationships. They're surrounded by people and still cannot reach them. Separated by glass they can't name and can't break. Sound familiar? Your ancestors didn't have a word for loneliness. Not because they never felt alone, but because real, sustained isolation was so rare it had no name. You were born into a world that accidentally invented it at scale. In 1900, the average American lived within 20 miles of their birthplace. In 2024, People relocate for work, for money, for reinvention, leaving behind the invisible web of belonging that took decades to build. And they build a new life. A good life, maybe, but a thinner one. Here's what nobody tells you. What your body calls loneliness isn't the absence of people. It's the absence of witnesses. To be truly known. To have someone who has seen you fail and stayed. Someone who knows which silence means you're fine and which one means you're not. Your brain doesn't hunger for followers. It hungers for witnesses. And here is the question your nervous system has been asking your whole life. Does anyone actually see me? Not your highlight reel. You. There is a concept in Japanese called moai. It refers to a lifelong social support group, a circle of people who meet regularly, share resources, celebrate together, grieve together. In Okinawa, one of the few places on Earth where people routinely live past 100, almost everyone has one. Researchers expected to find a longevity secret in their diet, their exercise routines, their genetics. What they found was a room of people who had known each other for 70 years. We built civilizations. We mapped genomes. We launched satellites past the edge of the solar system. And somehow, in all of that reaching outward, we forgot how to reach sideways, toward the person standing next to us. The biology hasn't changed. The need hasn't changed. Only the world around it has. Faster, louder, more alone. You were never meant to carry this weight by yourself. Your body has always known that. The only question that remains is whether you'll finally listen to it. We didn't lose connection when the internet arrived. We lost it long before, quietly, slowly, one relocation at a time. And most of us never even noticed what disappeared.